Hello everybody, this is Anna, and well, you are all welcome to It's All About Love. So today we are going to be talking about Mother Teresa, and this is the 8th episode. I hope you are going to enjoy what I'm going to talk about. And so we are now in 1950s with Mother Teresa. It was when we left you on the 7th episode, and today you are going to continue talking about her in 1950s. So as time went on, social workers, police, doctors, hospitals were sending the poorest of the poor to Mother Teresa's houses. And so in the children's house, no child was refused. Every child was accepted. So, but because of their limited resource and space, sometimes 2 or 3 children had to sleep in the same bed. And that was not so good because Mother Teresa received many criticisms because of that. But she would prefer them to sleep 2 or 3 in the same bed that leaving them in the street, die in the street. And that is real, is a reality, and it makes sense. It is better to give them life than to let them die in the streets. So, but as these children grew stronger, they were encouraged to follow education. Always Mother Teresa had in her mind to educate these children, always, because they were becoming her children also, although not physically physical children, her own children, blood children, but for her they were children. Spiritually they were own children, and she loved them. So she encourages all the children to follow education. And the young girls who were not following it were taught practical skills. Of course, not everyone is going to follow education, although everyone is encouraged to follow education, but not everyone is going to, because not everyone is the same. Some people are good at academic skill, they have very good academic skills, but some students, some people are not so. They are better at practical skills. So they would have to choose their talents. And so the ones who were not following education, they were taught practical skills, such as typing, for example, for improving their chance of getting a job. As they got older, Mother Teresa would arrange their marriage. Yes, Mother Teresa would arrange their marriage. Well, those days, families would arrange their marriage, and Mother Teresa would also arrange their marriage too. So that was incredible. Initially, the slum schools were not recognized by the government. No, they were not recognized by the government, because if you go to the previous episodes, we know that I mentioned that Mother Teresa would have huts to teach the kids. They were not recognized; those schools were not recognized by the government, and so people began by sponsoring children to go to proper schools. So because Mother Teresa was getting very famous, very well known, and so she already was in a stage that many people in India and people from other countries were supporting her, and so they were spreading the idea of the fact that Mother Teresa had these children that needed some support in terms of finance for education. And so financial and educational support. And so the people began by sponsoring these children to go to school, because Mother Teresa didn't have all the money, although she had more and more, but she didn't have. But she had people interested in helping. As time went on, some children were returned to their parents. and others were adopted in India or in other parts of the world. So they are, if you want to do research on Mother Teresa, you'll see that you'll find newspapers talking about her, about her children, about when she was sending the children to abroad for families to adopt them, and that was a way of her knowing and make sure that the children were going to be well with good people, with good families as well. So, and they would have as well a good future for themselves as well, the children. So Mother Teresa also fought against abortion. You know, some of you may know that Mother Teresa really fought against abortion. She was against it, really, she was against it. If she was going to somewhere to speak about God, about Jesus, she would very often include abortion. And as well, again, she was criticized because of this. Many people were fans of abortion, and many people not. So, but Mother Teresa was against abortion, really. So she would say, these babies must not die. In her own words, she would say, and I repeat, these babies must not die unloved, because even a small baby can feel. She knew what she was talking about. She knew what was life. And she didn't want to kill anything, even if it was inside a seed inside the womb. She wanted everyone to be entitled to live. Because she said, because even a small baby can feel. This small baby is a seed inside the womb of the mother. Beautiful, beautiful. So Mother Teresa sent a word to all the clinics, hospitals, and police stations. And she said these words: please do not destroy the child. We will take the child. She'd say that. She was very preoccupied with these children's lives. There is no doubt about it. Afterwards, missionaries of charity adopted the Holy Family Planning. And the string of beads of various scholars to help keep record of the safe period. She knew she didn't want no one to die, even a seed in the womb. She was always about life, not death. In time, free treatment and medication were given to hundreds of sick children and adults, and thousands of leprosy suffers each week. Because Mother Teresa was not just interested in children, because she was also interested in people with lepra. She was also interested in people, poor of the poor, people who were dying in the streets, sick people, unwanted people, unloved people. She was interested in everyone who needed a support and a help. And so gradually medication began, and money and treatments began to arrive more and more to help these people in need. Cooked food was also distributed daily to the hungry. Many volunteers helping, many people helping. Wonderful, wonderful. So in 1957, an ambulance was sent to Mother Teresa from the United States. So, and why? Because of leprosy. Mother Teresa was really deeply interested in the lepers, because she knew that they were suffering too much. She knew that they were isolated from the rest of the world, and she wanted to give them a normal life like other people while they were here in this world. And so she was fighting and fighting for their lives. And people from around the world were already helping the lepers in India. even doctors specialized in leprosy. And so, in 1957, an ambulance was sent to Mother Teresa, like I said, and I repeat, from the United States. This began by the Foundation for Mobile Leprosy Clinics. In that way, it could reach out more India's leprosy sufferers. And in September of that year, 1957, Mother Teresa's first mobile leprosy clinic opened at Sishu Bhavan. Do you remember where was Sishu Bhavan? It was the center for the children, the house of the children that I mentioned before in the previous episode. So it was on the Lower Circular Road near the Missionaries of Charity residence. By January 1958, 600 lepers were attending regularly the clinic. Gradually, ambulances were going to wherever large concentrations of lepers were, everywhere. So carrying human and medical resources to care for the sufferers. Beautiful. Mother Teresa began to open dispensaries. Wonderful. The first one began as a mobile clinic under a tree in a land at Titagraph. Apologies for my spelling, probably is not the right one, but I believe that you may understand, I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say. Titagraph, it was the name in that land that where these mobile clinics were to help the lepers. And so, however, walking distance for lepers prevented them from healing, because many lepers had to walk to that land, to that clinic, and that prevented them from healing because it was too painful for them to walk. So to overcome this problem, the Volkart Foundation financed a permanent building, a leprosy dispensary in the same land. It opened in March 1959. Wonderful. So in the lepers clinic, they encouraged the lepers to provide for their own needs. They encouraged lepers, to provide for their needs, such as learning carpentry and shoemaking. So they had to live a normal life like other people in the rest of the world, although they were isolated. They had to have some purpose in life, and so they were so much encouraged to do something like carpentry. It was easy for them to do. Shoemaking as well. That was incredible. To know and to have a sense of purpose in life is wonderful. Is breathing freedom, is flying, is happiness, is joy, is light, is everything. Is what human beings need, and it is what all want. Wonderful. So learning skills were given to them, to these lepers, and particularly in the early stage when the disease was caught. Yes. In some cases, lepers could be completely cured. Yes, in some cases. And so after a year or two, they would be completely cured. Apart from Mother Teresa, no one wanted the lepers. No one wanted the lepers, just Mother Teresa and the Missionaries of Charity and the others helping, the volunteers. So everyone refused lepers because they were afraid of catching their disease and die. And they didn't want to die. But Mother Teresa knew what she was doing. She knew that with Jesus, that she had in her a light, and because Jesus to her was a light, and where Jesus is, no one can get any disease. Anyone can be healed. And so to her, she believed that she had the healing inside her. It was Jesus. And she couldn't be, she couldn't get, she was not going to get any leper. And so she transferred this to her novices, to her students, to her sisters, and to other people. And they were always with that strong power in mind that they were not going to be like the rest of the world, not wanting to do something because they were afraid of dying, or because they just want to give life to people. And they were going to live life, and they gave life. They were giving life to everyone around them because Jesus was the life inside them. And so, at Christmas, Mother Teresa as well also used to do a party for all the lepers, and every leper was given a parcel of food and clothes. Beautiful, beautiful, wonderful. So, as you see, I mentioned already in the previous episode that Mother Teresa used to do a party with her sisters for Christmas. She used to give them gifts as well. But it was not just, the party is not just for the girls, for the sisters. She used to do parties with everyone around her for Christmas. Christmas was a period of joy, a period of peace and light. Was vital for them to do something. Was probably the best season of the year for them. They were joyful of interacting with people. They were always interacting, but mainly in Christmas time. So, wonderful. Mother Teresa also fought for a place where lepers could live. Wow, wow, wow. Walk and die with dignity. She fought for it. The Indian government donated her 34 acres of land, and funds raised by German children made it possible. See, everyone around the world knew about Mother Teresa by the end of 1950s. Wonderful. So, by the mid-60s, a place was built to the lepers. Mother Teresa and the sisters named it as Shanti Nagar, the place of peace for the lepers. A place where lepers learned how to be self-sufficient, making bricks to build their own homes, caring for cattle, planting rice, fruit trees and fish ponds, and starting small business. That was a purpose for them in this life, doing something in this life. And they were happy for that. They were so thankful for Mother Teresa. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. They knew, these lepers knew that they had a purpose in spite of their condition. They knew that they had a purpose in this life. They began by doing some business. They began by learning how to build their own houses and caring for cattle and planting rice and fruit trees and so on and so on. So beautiful. Independence for human beings, for these people that they so much needed, like everyone needs. Just because they had leper, they were not less than us, than no one. They were people from God. They were people like us. They're created by God. They were all the same. They were just unfortunate of getting leper. But fortunately many got healed, and those who were not healed, they still had things to do. Continuing their lives, building things and living. Wonderful, beautiful. What Mother Teresa was doing was wonderful. Well, when there was a need, Mother Teresa continued counting with divine providence, always. If she didn't have at that time, she knew that God was going to provide. She knew that God was going to use someone to help her, to help the lepers, to help the children, to help the poor of the poor. International help was arriving, and was arriving such as medication and financial resources. And leprosy medical experts came from around the world, including the United Kingdom, from around the world. Beautiful. So lepers were going up and up in their lives. Beautiful. Because of Mother Teresa. And because of God's purpose for them. So, as the Indian government wrote to Mother Teresa, asking her to train their social workers. See what Mother Teresa was at that time in India. She was so popular. She was getting so popular that even the government was asking Mother Teresa to teach their social workers. Wow, wow, wow. What do you think about that? And so, the Indian government wanted the social workers to learn from Mother Teresa, because they knew that what Mother Teresa was doing was incredible, it was unusual, and everyone, many people were following her. So everything was, to them, that was wonderful, was positive, more positive and positive. And so the government as well wanted their social workers to do what Mother Teresa was doing. There was no doubt about it. And so Mother Teresa declined it, declined their request. According to Mother Teresa, she thought, and she said, I'm going to read what she said. The success was on the recognition of Christ in the poor and on spiritual values to which social work gave insufficient credence. The missionaries of charity were not social workers, but contemplatives in the world. Of course, what missionaries of charity were contemplatives in this world. They were spreading love and compassion and help and support to those in need. They were not social workers. That meant that through prayers and loving actions, the missionaries of charity intercede with God on behalf of the whole world. She was convinced, Mother Teresa was convinced, that without a prayer life, their success would not be possible. So their job here, it was to intercede with God on behalf of the whole world through their prayers. But Mother Teresa knew that many social workers were not going to follow that, because their views, the social workers' views, were different. Mother Teresa believed that prayer, like I said, and I said just a few seconds ago, prayer was the main vital thing for their success. The main one was prayer, interceding with God for the world, for those in need. And not many people were praying at that time. Many people would make excuses to pray. They didn't want to pray. But Mother Teresa, the main thing of Mother Teresa was praying all the time with her sisters and volunteers and so on and so on. Beautiful. That's why she succeeded. Mother Teresa had a personal relationship with God. There is no doubt about it. I know that many of you have a personal relationship with God, and that is beautiful. Many of you may say, well, I believe in God, but that doesn't mean that you have a relationship with God. One thing is believing in God, another thing is having a relationship with God. Is connecting with God every day on a daily basis, talking to Him, listening to Him, obeying Him. Is it a relationship with God? Is it like a friendship with God? Believing is not the same thing as having a relationship with God. But Mother Teresa believed in God and had a relationship with God. Of course, believing is good. Believing in God is very good. Is the beginning. But we need much more than that. And Mother Teresa had much more than that. When Mother Teresa looked at the sick, poor and hungry, she saw Jesus in a distressing disguise. Because Jesus suffered in the cross. And when she saw Jesus, when she saw the poor in the streets, wherever they were, when she saw the hungry, wherever they were, when she saw the needy, the unwanted, unloved, she saw them, of course, but she saw mainly in them Jesus suffering. That's why she was there to help them. It was the rejected Jesus who she touched and served. And she wanted those around her to do the same. So these people in need, the lepers, the people dying in the streets, the loved people, the unwanted people, all suffered. They all were rejected as human beings, one way or another. And these people that she touched and served, she was touching Jesus and them at the same time. And she wanted everyone to do the same as her. The students, or the sisters, the volunteers, everyone around. They could satisfy His love for them while feeding them with the bread of life that was Jesus. So, Mother Teresa knew, and the sisters knew, that while loving them, or the love that they felt for Jesus, for God, was the love that they were transferring to these people in need. They were feeding these people with the love of God and Jesus, not just with food and water, but as well with their love and care and compassion. Beautiful. She was doing beautifully. Hallelujah. Beautiful. But like I said before, Christmas had an impact on her, always a strong impact on her. She would say always, or very often she would say, in her own words, she would say, "The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us." The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us. The Word. So, for those who know the Word of God, for those who know the Bible, you know that the Word of God is very clear. Jesus is the Word. If you go to Gospel of John, you'll see that there. And you'll see it in other parts of the Bible too. But mainly in Gospel of John. And so, what the Bible tells us is this, that the Word is Jesus, was Jesus. Jesus, the Word, and Jesus existed before He came to this world, to this heart. And so the Word became flesh when he came to this world. The Word that was Jesus became flesh when he came into this world and walked among us, with us. This is in John 1st John, the Gospel. And so that's why Christmas was so important for Mother Teresa, because she knew that it was the main season in the year, the most important main season in a year. It was Christmas, because she knew that Jesus, the creator of the world, that was before us and was created us and existed before the world was created, came into this world as a child, as very young, a boy. And that's why it was so important for our Christmas time, because it's the period when the creator of the universe comes into the world as a person, as a baby, is the beginning of everything for us. And so this is why she celebrated Christmas. Christmas for her was everything for her. Of course, there's too much to say about this. But for now, what she had to say was this: the Word was made flesh when he came into this world, because the world already existed even before the world was made. And 2,000 years ago, the Word came into this earth as a human being and walked with us. And from then on, we got to know more and more him, Jesus. Because you're always talking about him. Many people talk about him, and many people know him. That's beautiful. The direction to our sisters, with those of a firm believer and discipline to them. Sadness was not accepted in Mother Teresa's environment. That's why a few minutes ago I was talking to you about Mother Teresa principles. She didn't accept anyone was miserable, was negative. Of course, she would accept initially, but after a while they were going to change. Because of them, they had to change. She didn't accept any sadness. She was required from them, whether they were the sisters or volunteers or anyone around them, a smile to transmit joy to those around them. Mainly sisters. Kindness, common sense, knowledge, and a healthy mind and body were also required for her, for Mother Teresa, for the sisters, for many people around, but mainly the sisters. And all had to be faithful to obedience, as Jesus was obedient unto death. Charity, it was to be manifested in words, the charity, thoughts, feelings, as Jesus went about doing good. As you know, in the book of Acts, in 10:38, Jesus went about doing good. And this is what they had to do. And this is what we have to do. We have to go around and do good. This is why we show charity. Charity for many means love. We show love. Wonderful. And then those around Mother Teresa, mainly the sisters, would have to follow as well the principle of poverty. I already mentioned it to you a few times already previously, that poverty obedience, love, and also chastity as well. I mentioned it previously in other episodes as well. They were the principles of Mother Teresa. So poverty had to be applied because Jesus was rich, but he made himself poor for us. He was, and he is the richest person in this world and in the other worlds. But he made himself poor, humble, so everything for us. Because he wants us to accept him. Because he wants us to follow him. Another principle Mother Teresa will tell the sisters and those around her, but mainly the sisters, was the principle of chastity in thoughts and desires. This was a principle that she took when she began a job of a nun, and she knew what it was, and she mainly asked her sisters to have this principle too. Mainly her sisters. That's incredible. And often Mother Teresa would tell them, whatever you do, let them, people, see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. That is in Matthew, in the Gospel of Matthew 5:15-16. Whatever you do to them, whatever you do to people, see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. I can clarify and go back to this sentence. Probably, I think it will be better if I read in a certain way. Whatever you do, let people. That's the right way to say. Apologies for the last sentence. Whatever you do, let people see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. So, Mother Teresa had always this in her mind. She wanted everyone around her, mainly their sisters, to do good. She wanted people to see that they were doing good all the time. And so people, as seeing them doing good, could glorify God that is in heaven. That's this. That's beautiful. So, well, we are finalizing this episode, the 8th episode, and I hope you took something from this episode today about Mother Teresa, about her legacy, about this encounter with Mother Teresa. So, I know that Mother Teresa always surprises us and is always surprising us because although she's dead, she's not anymore physically with us, she's still with us spiritually. And so it's always good to talk about Mother Teresa because she's a wonderful example for us to follow and is a beautiful thing to speak about. So for now, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and God bless you.